everybody. Believe it or not, this is Biters.
We're back.
Sorry.
No, sorry. We're a little rusty at this, and we've got the giggles already, so strap in.
We've got the giggles because my neighbor is thudding.
And it's not rhythmic thudding, it's just...
thudding.
Life thudding.
Yeah, although there has been some rhythmic thudding since I moved in.
We're already off the rails. This is Marnell, you're Dianne, and you're listening to Biters.
And we're here to talk about the very first episode of the last season of The Walking Dead, Acheron Part 1.
Is it Acheron?
I think it's Acheron. That's how I've always said it in my head. And the reason that I'm going to spoil you now. The reason that I have it in my head as a word is that there is a really great series of books by a woman named Sherilyn Kenyon. They're total romance novels. They're totally cheesy. I love them to death. The characters are called Dark Hunters. They're sort of vampires, sort of not. And Acheron is like the head of the Dark Hunters, but he's actually a Greek god.
Well, and Acheron was a river in Greek mythology.
Right, a river of woe.
Yes.
Not WHOA, WOE.
So I would say Acheron also, but Google pronunciation says Acheron.
Google's wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying it. I'm being silly. Google is probably right. I'm probably wrong. I've just always had it in my head that way.
It's ancient Greek. Say it how you want to.
Right. And wear the right underwear. For those who don't know, Shinesty makes great underwear, and they have a new Greek-themed print, and I will leave it up to your imagination.
Yeah. It's no Hercules.
It might be Hercules and Patroclus.
Yeah, at least not the Disney version of Hercules. Maybe like the Caligula's fantasy Hercules.
Wasn't Caligula Roman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. It still works.
Yeah. No one would have known unless you said so. Thanks.
We have a few listeners who probably would have known. Maybe we need to do Caligula for Capes and Lunatics After Dark.
Oh, God, that would... Oh, wow.
I know,
Phil?
that would be, like, horrifying.
That was not my idea, Phil. Rob, we're sorry in advance.
All right, Lilith. All right, Charlie. Back me up here.
I think Mazza's already pieced out on that one.
And Nick from Italy, he's like, I don't think so.
Dude. Come in for a podcast.
Oh, God. All right. What was your rating for this episode?
I really, really liked this episode. And I always have to preface my ratings by saying, not specifically this, but I wrote down all of my thoughts and my goods, bads, and uglies before I watched episode 2, but I have actually watched episode 2.
Oh,
and so
okay, I have not, so don't spoil it.
No, my episode 1 rating had to go down because I have to have someplace to go for episode 2.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Yeah, so I gave it a 4.4 pumpkin-colored spacesuit.
All right, I didn't rate it as high as you. I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. So I give it 4 out of 5 shrink-wrapped zombies or falling Maggies.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we will. I, of course, don't have any numbers for this episode, and I'm disappointed to say that I was not able to watch Talking Dead. Were you able to?
I was. It was very good.
That's so weird. I don't know. How are you accessing your AMC these days?
Sling.
Okay, so I am doing it via AMC Plus on Amazon, and I got the episode, but the only Talking Deads were from last season, finishing up Fear the Walking Dead.
So, I have like been in discussion with my other half because I did not believe him that Talking Dead actually aired last week, or not aired, but like they filmed and the episode was out last week, just like the season premiere was out last week. Well, come to find out, it wasn't the Talking Dead for the episode. It was a Talking Dead like
kind of a recap
discussion.
kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I didn't even have access to that one.
I couldn't find it. It is not on my AMC Plus on Sling. And there's this weird quirk. Earlier in the day, I was able to watch the episode before it would have aired tonight. So, because I have AMC Plus, so I was able to watch that. When I watched that one, I get the Angela Kang interview at the end. But when I watch it after the episode has aired, I lose that on Sling, and I there's no way to get it back.
It's weird.
Yeah, so I have to watch, if I want to watch the interview at the end,
you have to watch it the first
before.
time. Huh.
Yeah.
Now, I always get that whenever I rewatch. That's not an issue for me, but I was really bummed and kind of surprised that I didn't have access to talking. So, and maybe if I tried to cram it in at 7:30, I might have been able to find it and watch part of it, but...
Yeah.
Oh, great. Now the neighbors' children are yelling. They are starting to bark.
Oh, man.
She told me my dogs are barky. I think her children are barky.
I was going to say, I can handle barky children, as in, furry, four-legged children. But, yeah, I'm with you on the...
And I hope they're trying to barbecue and not trying to burn the fence down. Because I'm a little concerned.
Oh.
I'm sitting right at... I have a very nice sliding glass door that looks out on my yard, and I have a very small but nice yard.
Speaking of which, Diane, what have you been doing in our months and months off?
Oh, I figured I'd save that for Housewives.
Oh, okay.
Because I have a ton of stuff for Housewives. Oh my god, including the barky children who are trying to burn down the fence.
Diane did buy a new house.
Yeah, I did buy a new house.
She has been moving, and so, I mean, that's part of our hiatus is she's had to pack up her podcasting stuff and move to a new place and unpack it, and, moving sucks.
And I will tell you that, so for people who don't know, because it seems to be a relatively Alaskan thing, I bought a thing called a zero lot line home. And so what that is it's kind of like a condo and an apartment building and two townhouses mated and had a baby. So it's basically
a duplex.
It's like a duplex plus a townhouse. So it's 2 stories, but it's a duplex. And so I own half, and then the woman with the barky children owns the other half. And the woman with the barky children, the first night I moved in, told me my dogs were barky. And then made some very vulgar comments about me and my boyfriend who had just left. So, yeah, we're not fans.
Oi.
Oi is right.
Barky on the first night. It's a completely new environment.
I was like, lady, we've been here for 6 hours. My dogs just got hauled from the wilderness into what Alaska calls a big city. Give me a break. Okay, sorry, we're totally off the rails, and I haven't even gotten to Housewives update yet. So, ratings. We did ratings. Numbers. So, of course, there are no numbers. I was whining about how I didn't have Talking Dead. So the numbers that I have are numbers from last season's endings to Fear. Because we did USS Pennsylvania and the beginning as one episode, which I still need to post.
You're kidding!
Oh my god, I never posted it. I was so, burnt out on Fear by the time we did that episode. I will post it.
And then you literally went straight into house hunting, finding a perfect place. Actually, it was really the perfect bathtub surrounded by a house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And moving and getting a new place of employment. And so you're excused.
So I will post that this week with this episode. But so USS Pennsylvania, which was the penultimate episode of the season 6 of Fear, got 0.87 million views same day. The beginning, which was the final episode, got 1.05 million views same day. So, not the best numbers.
No. And so we've talked about it ad nauseum before, about the old way of determining ratings versus how people are consuming media now. And now we have the added AMC Plus gets everything a week ahead of time. So
that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, so I
kind of messes everything up, doesn't it?
It does. I was just reading on Twitter how many people are really butthurt. And I mean, to be fair, I was completely butthurt about people getting the episode a week ahead of time. And now that I'm one of those people, I'm like, it's kind of cool. But there was a lot of people over in Europe who were like, we still have to wait till tomorrow to actually watch episode 1. And the people in the US have already seen 2 episodes. So...
And like I said, I can't, so I haven't seen it yet, so yeah, I don't know.
It's very good.
Well, and getting a little bit into Paul Tassi and Eric Kane territory, Eric Kane really felt like it would have been better if they had premiered these 2 as one episode.
Well, it is a part 1 and a part 2.
And he really felt like it was better viewed because he was able to get previews and watch them both at this, both simultaneously. No,
right.
He didn't watch them simultaneously. He watched one after the other.
He watched them concurrently.
That's better. Thank you. And he really felt like that made a big difference in watching it. So,
and we're already getting into Walking Dead potpourri. Rotting potpourri, but he says this in his article where he feels like this is they're trying to do a Glenn under the dumpster fake out with Maggie's fall.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, because we all know that like she's in this rest of the season. So what happened between her and Negan at the end was more of a setup, not for her to seem dead, but for her to come back and be like, Negan, you're in bigger trouble than you were before.
Now I hate you even more.
Right? Like,
as if it was a thing, right?
You murdered my husband in front of me, but how dare you not help me onto the train?
Right. How dare you let me drop? All right. The title. So we've already really talked about it. Acheron or Acheron, depending on what's in your brain. It's a river of woe, one of the 5 rivers of the Greek underworld. And supposedly it is like part of the river Styx, but it also empties into the river. I wasn't quite clear on that.
I mean, emptying into the river of Styx, I would think would be it would make it part of the river of Styx. So the river of woe flows into the river of Styx.
The river Styx. It's just the river Styx, not the river of. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There also apparently was a character in one of the Alien movies that had this name. There were a couple of other literary references that I didn't write down, that I didn't remember. And then, of course, the sprawling, giant, fantastic romance series by Cheryl and Kenyon that I highly recommend to anybody who likes paranormal romance.
Was it romance or was it smut? Answer carefully, because you don't know which one I want.
Well, so here's the truth. I mean, there's always a little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely smutty, but they always end up romantically. How's that? Man, is that fair?
That's one thing that TikTok has helped me out with is their book talk has a lot of recommendations on them.
There's a series by the same author that's kind of a space opera series. I can't remember the generic name for the series, but it's like Born of Ice, Born of Fire, Born of Night, Born of Sin, and they're totally great space operas. Same thing, smutty, always end up romantically. Enjoy the heck out of them. All right, and there you go. That's the book review. We're good. Have a good night.
Thank you and good night.
So our writers were Angela Kang and Jim Barnes. I hope I wrote that. I hope I read that right because I scrawled and my handwriting is terrible these days. Of course, I didn't write anything down about Angela Kang because she's our showrunner and I feel like nothing really needs to be said. Jim Barnes has 5 Walking Dead credits, including both 1 and 2 of the season 11 premieres. An episode called One More, which I know I should remember. An episode called A Certain Doom, which I know I should remember. And then, of course, episodes that we both loved and that I remember that Diana and Steve loved as well. Stalker and Ghosts.
Of course.
Yeah, so
those are like... Yeah.
He wins on those alone. Yeah. He also has written for quite a few other things. The couple that I wrote down that I was familiar with, Gotham and Falling Skies.
Oh, both excellent shows.
Yes.
Yeah. I am not up to date on Gotham. I kind of dropped off for a while, and I don't think I watched the last season of Falling Sky, but yeah. I might have. It was a while ago.
I have to be honest and say I've actually watched a little bit of TV just for TV watching sake this summer. We'll talk about that in Real Housewives. You already know, but we'll talk about it in Real Housewives. Let's see. Our director is a guy named Kevin Dowling. His film debut was a movie called The Sum of Us, which featured Russell Crowe and won 17 awards, which I thought was pretty impressive. He's also got more than 170 TV credits.
Man, I see that.
I only listed a few, stuff that I was familiar with. The Americans, Bosch, Jack Ryan, Walking Dead, Heroes, Dead Like Me, 13 Reasons, The Sun, which was the Pierce Brosnan series on AMC, Law and Order CI. He is also a stage director. So this guy has done a lot. His first credit was back in 1974. I was 4 years old.
I was not.
You weren't even planned.
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
They were still trying for perfection, and then they got me.
Well, I can certainly say that the efforts prior to you didn't pan out very well. So.
Either that or they were just like, oh my God, we're going to just stop trying. It just gets worse.
My personal opinion is what I first said, but that's my personal opinion.
Kevin Dowling actually did 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, that... I think I kind of had a funny, not funny, like... It's not a funny show, people, but there's a joke that goes along with it nowadays that, when someone is a horrible person or something terrible happens to you or something like that, you always say, you're my 13th reason, or that's my 13th reason.
Ouch.
And so I had a thing at work where I was just like, you're my 13th reason.
And did the person at work understand the reference?
No.
Probably a good thing.
Like everybody else did, and they were like, oh my God, separate those two.
Oh. Ow.
I haven't had to be in a meeting with her for a really long time, so yeah.
I think my neighbor is going to be my 13th reason.
She's either going to be your 13th reason or your first murder.
I know someone really smart who can help me bury a body.
Oh, no burying. It's Alaska.
I don't have the sled dog connection anymore.
Do you know anyone with a boat?
Well, our nephews, but, only one person out of that whole quadrangle talks to me, so...
Oh, I can tell him I killed her. It's fine. But I'll totally roll on you if we're caught.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I lied for my sister, I swear.
Oh my God, so I am actually on plant TikTok, and there is actually a woman.
Oh, is this the woman who's like, make sure you bury a body under endangered plants because they can't dig it up?
she's talking about all of the plants that grow everywhere in gardens all across the US, like white oleander, that can kill people very subtly, that don't usually show up on a regular autopsy. They look like other things. And she's like, I'm just saying to be careful. Do with this information what you will.
And you haven't sent me these TikToks yet? I'm not divorced yet.
Man, there are some freakishly common things in your garden that can make it look like a heart attack.
All right. I'm looking forward to getting some TikToks.
This is my favorite murder.
So for the Biters fans, Marnell and my lovely boyfriend, who is still my lovely boyfriend, are my personal TikTok curators.
And this is Exhibit A.
Yeah, this is Exhibit A. And wow, I've got a really good divorce attorney, but I don't have a good criminal attorney. Although I'm sure my divorce attorney could probably help me find a good criminal attorney.
I was going to say, if we do everything just right, you won't need Oh, man. We're so rusty at podcasting.
Oh, but we're funny. Come on.
This is hilarious.
Okay. Featured cast. Mercer. Michael James Shaw. You rightly said there is very little out there about him.
Yes. And one thing that I did find out about him is that he is very intensely private. So you can't even really find connections to current girlfriends or old girlfriends or anything like that. So, I mean, we've got name, date of birth. He's got a brother and a sister. He went to Vanguard High School. Graduated in 2005, which makes me feel old. Went to Howard University and Juilliard. Do you know him from anything?
Well,
did you look on his IMDb?
I looked on his IMDb, and I really honestly should know him from the Avengers movies, but I don't, because I think his parts were relatively small. I should know him from Constantine, but I've never watched it.
Oh, so, okay, Constantine was a pretty underrated show. I liked it.
I believe it was based on Hellblazer, wasn't it? I mean, that was the main character in the comic book Hellblazer.
I don't think the main character was Constantine. It was after the movie with Keanu Reeves came out.
Which I'm pretty sure was based on Hellblazer.
Okay.
I'm gonna look while you're talking.
So, and the role that he played in the
Avengers my god,
movies,
they are thudding so loud. Oh my god.
We can't hear them, or I can't hear them.
Good.
He played Corvus Glaive in the Avengers movies, and I had to look it up too. And Corvus is one of Thanos' adopted children, and when I say adopted, I'm using air quotes because, of course, he just kidnapped these poor children and raised them as his own little, like, pseudo warrior minion carbon copies.
Okay, I'm going to pause you for just a second. In the comic book Hellblazer, on which the movie is based, the character of John Constantine is from Liverpool, England, and is drawn to look like Sting. In the movie, the character is from LA. It's widely believed this change was made specifically for Keanu Reeves. So it is from Hellblazer, which I've read some of it, not all of it, published between 1988 and 2012. Okay, that's your comic book tour for the evening.
Well, and I will say that, so the show was probably a little more true to the books, and so was the character. And in Constantine, he played the character Papa Midnight. So, I don't really remember him, because it's been, 2014 was when it aired, and, you know, this past year has been like 6 years, so...
Only 6? It feels like a frickin' decade for me.
Oh, man. Right? Yeah. But, so yeah, he was in Constantine, and he was in a show called Limitless, which was also, came after the movie Limitless, and I love the movie. I really should watch the show.
I'm actually not familiar with it at all. What's the movie about?
So, basically this writer, he's just kind of a loser. his apartment's like a total mess. His girlfriend, he is way above, he outclasses him, and he's just like, he's kind of dirty and like not really going anywhere with life. And he runs into an old buddy, and his buddy is, kind of a drug dealer, but kind of like he's like party drugs. And he winds up turning him on to this stuff called NZ13 or NZT13 or something like that. And it's a pharmaceutical derived drug that basically, you know how they say, which it's not true, they say that you only use 10% of your brain. Well, this helps you open up the rest of your brain and use the rest of your brain. And so it's basically a smart pill. And so you take it and you get all kinds of motivation, like you're on Adderall, and you are able to pick up things around you and recall them later, like Princess in this episode, apparently. So you can go from like just being Joe Nobody to like, getting millions of dollars in stock trades because you have figured out the algorithm or the pattern or the inside know, and you can pick up on languages just by hearing it in conversation. And it's exactly what the pill that we all want, where you just learn by osmosis and you're super intelligent. So yeah, I really liked the movie. It had Bradley Cooper, which I love Bradley Cooper.
Oh yeah, I like Bradley Cooper too.
And so I really should have watched the show. It kept falling down on the list. It only lasted 2 seasons, but Michael James Shaw is in the Limitless show. So,
and it looks like he was in quite a number of episodes of it.
Yeah, looks like all 14 episodes. He had a small part in the reboot, update
of Roots. I
yeah.
saw that. Yep.
Blue Bloods, the show Bull. And there's one that is right before The Walking Dead. It's called Blood and Treasure. And I kind of want to see this one.
I actually looked that up because I felt like it was something I should know more about. And it's basically someone who, like a cop and an antiquities thief. I mean, that was kind of the impression that I got.
It's got Oded Fair in it, who
I don't know who that is.
He is he played Carlos in the Resident Evil movies, and he played I can't remember his name, but he was in the Mummy movies. Oh, he's just the most gorgeous man.
Is he's not the guy who played the Pharaoh?
The bald dude?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
He was one of the Magi.
It's been a long time since I've watched those movies.
But, so anyway, Michael James Shaw, there's really, really not a lot out there about him. He is on Instagram, which of course just reverted back to regular Instagram and not his page. He is blue checked. He is MJ Shaw Nuff. MJSHAWNUFF. I love his bio. Michael James Shaw, the master builder, a work in progress, perfection is boring.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's got some really cool pics on his Instagram. If you scroll back far enough, he had taken some amazing trips. It looks like he loves to travel, and specifically a trip to Morocco. Someplace I want to go someday. It's beautiful. So, yeah, that's all I have about Michael James Shaw. He makes a great Mercer.
I don't have anything to add, except he also played Corvus Glaive in a video game about that was produced about the Marvel series. So, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, he, the character was kind of big in the last couple of movies, but you wouldn't recognize him because a lot of his look was CG.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'll have to like Google a picture of Corvius Glaive and see if I can get in my brain who it was. I feel like I lose so much, you know?
Only so much fits in your brain.
Oh my god, and it's leaking out my ears.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Whisperer's Corner. So we talked a little bit about Eric Kane and Paul Tassi. I do have a little more about Eric Kane at the end. I didn't see the Paul Tassi article, but you did, so I'm going to let you talk about that. The first thing that I wrote about was Screen Rant actually had a pretty interesting opinion piece. It's not really news, it's opinion, but they basically said they felt like, the Rick Grimes movies were announced in 2018 and that it's probably too late to really gin up a lot of excitement about them now, that it's kind of a missed opportunity on AMC's part. Not a popular opinion, I'm sure, but I thought it was an interesting opinion.
So I think if they, run out this season, I think it will build towards that excitement again.
So the opinion of the writer was filming hasn't even started yet on the Rick Grimes movies. The movies will have little to no effect on the main storyline of the series, and that there's just overall decreased interest in Rick's fate as he has become less and less and less present in the universe. Again, probably not a popular opinion, but an interesting opinion.
There's probably a lot of people who, in all honesty, it has been quite a last 20 months. The show itself has had to contend with COVID. We've all had to contend with COVID and our lives now.
And we are re-contending with COVID.
And right, our lives that are probably actually never going to get back to any semblance of normalcy of what we had. Because, not to get on this rant again, but the more that the variant is allowed to breed in an unvaccinated population, the more chance we'll have. Yeah. Variants, yes.
Yeah.
And it just kicks us back to square one. None of us thought we were going to be here a year later back in square one.
Dude.
And here we are.
I counseled someone in their 20s, that's vague enough, who was unvaccinated, who was talking about going to a very large music festival. That's fairly vague. Wasn't planning on wearing a mask. I was like, First, let's talk about the vaccine and the Delta variant, because you are right in the age group that is getting sick and dying from the Delta variant. And secondly, let's talk about wearing a mask, even if you do decide to get vaccinated, because that's going to help keep you from spreading anything that you might get to anybody who is not vaccinated for whatever reason, age, or immune compromise. Can we please have this conversation?
I just, I am sick of wearing a mask. I am sick. Not that I'm like the biggest extrovert. I'm sick of lockdown, but I continue to do my part. Like, I was at Home Depot this weekend, and I was like, hoofing it around Home Depot and lifting some kind of heavy stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, how do these poor employees do this for 8 hours a day? I really commend people who have to still put up with this and put up with the general public. I am very, very lucky in that I have a job that I am only required to actually go into the office 3 days a week. My office is very, very small. We are all vaccinated, and none of us have to we don't wear masks when we are on our floor. If we go anywhere else in the building, we wear a mask. But we're all sick of it. So, but unless everyone starts pulling their weight, we're going to be right back here again next August talking about the same crap, different variant.
Yep, I agree. So, fair point on your part. Yes, I do think we have dealt with COVID for the last 20-ish months, and that has certainly delayed the Rick movies. It's certainly been something that the entire Walking Dead universe, the entire film and television industry has had to contend with. But I wrote down the stuff from this article because I thought it was an interesting point.
Yeah.
Did AMC miss out? I mean, they haven't even started filming the Rick movies yet. And the excuse that they gave in the article that Screen Rant published was, well, we're trying to get the scripts just right. We're tweaking them. We're trying to get them just right. We want it to be absolutely perfect. And it's like, you can do that and do that and do that, but you may eventually get to the point where no one cares.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it would have definitely been better to strike while the iron is hot. But, in 6 months, if we get a teaser trailer, and we see Rick in an operating room or somewhere, or being introduced to someone from CRM.
Or Rick having sex with Jadis because he thinks he'll never see Michonne again. Ugh!
Okay, that just completely cooled the iron off. That's funny.
Oh, God. All right, the next thing I've got is that, and it's not spoilery, it's kind of speculative. It basically was Norman Reedus saying that the Daryl and Carol spinoff is going to be really totally different from the original Walking Dead, and the quote was, it won't look anything like The Walking Dead. And that was pretty much the sum and total of the article, but I thought that was interesting, and I'm wondering if it's not going to look like The Walking Dead, what's it going to look like?
Yeah, so there was, of course, she kept it totally cryptic, but there was something in an interview with Angela Kang that I read where she talked about the Daryl and Carol spinoff and how basically kind of as we get to the end of the season, Daryl really has, I can't remember if she said he questions his place or his place is questioned where he is in this community, his place in this community. And, it sort of turns Daryl on his ear. And that's, kind of how we get him leaving Alexandria and going on the road.
And apparently Carol going with him.
Yeah, I have something to talk about in my ugly about that.
Okay, very good. I will finish up the news while I try to keep myself from going out and murdering my neighbor's children. Because really, if we're going to do it, Marnell, we should just make it a full meal deal.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely could plant some oleander along that fence.
Sounds like a good plan.
Tell them it makes delicious tea.
Mix it with foxglove. Oh my god, it's amazing. A little bit of honey. All right.
Maybe some monkshood.
Okay, so we all remember the green Hyundai from season 2, do we not?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say that there was part of me that even liked that green Hyundai. I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my favorite colors. So, Walking Dead has a new promotional deal with an Irish whiskey called the Sexton, which is distributed by Proximo Spirits. And they are going to feature a Walking Dead cocktail kit. So we should be seeing, I don't think we're going to see product placement. That wasn't the gist that I got from the article, but we should be seeing, those of us who get traditional ads with our viewing should be seeing ads for the Sexton throughout this season.
So when I first watch, I get no advertisements, but my second watch, when the show is airing, when the show is airing, I do remember seeing ads for that whiskey because they have this really weird tagline that caught my ear that I can't remember. So it was something about like, you don't know what'll happen tomorrow, live like it's your last, something like that.
Oh, well, that seems appropriate for a zombie show.
Exactly.
All I have to say is, number one, I'm not really drinking anymore. I think in the last, 4 months, I've had a couple of glasses of wine. But I will also say that I'm profoundly grateful that I'm divorcing the, sorry, Rob, son of a bitch that I'm divorcing, because I got a very nice bottle of Walking Dead whiskey from my friend Todd. I got one shot out of it.
Oh.
I got one shot. Because I was married to a drunk.
Mm.
Okay.
That sucks.
here we are. So I won't be getting any the Sexton whiskey, and that's fine. It's okay. And please don't send any to me, anybody who might be so moved, because it will just go to waste.
You can send it to me.
You can send it to Marnell. Okay, so Eric Kane. I read 2 articles from him. One was about just the first episode, and it said it was a fine premiere that would have been stronger if it had been shown as episodes 1 and 2 consecutively. Thank you, Marnell. And then he did his spoiler-free, like, I'm just going to tell you that I got to watch the 2 episodes, and they're great. It's just, unfortunately, it was a single episode that got cut in half. So that was basically his review in both reviews.
You know, and I kind of tend to agree with him in that we could have done a 2-hour season premiere. Because this is the season finale. This is the series finale, the main series finale. And there are 24 episodes this season. So they could have spared a week.
Yeah,
and done
we really wouldn't have been cheated. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the break that they are taking?
No.
Oh,
but I'm
my
sure,
goodness.
I'm sure they're going to fill it with something awful like Fear or The World Beyond. Right?
It's like in October. October 10th will be episode 8, and then episode 9 does not air until 2022. So
You are kidding me!
No.
Oh my god, that's insane.
Yeah.
I knew that they were going to break it up into 3 parts. So, but it just seems insane that they're waiting that long.
Yeah, so we'll probably have 8, and then 9 through 16, and then 17 through 24.
And we'll have Gross, Fear, and World Beyond between then.
Yeah.
Ugh. Hey, I just want to give you a heads up now, because I'm already peacing out on future episodes. I am probably going to be gone the first or second weekend of November.
Oh, well, so that works out.
So just so you know, yes, so we'll miss like Fear or World Beyond and podcast late on one of those, but
Yeah, we'll probably have to do a couple episodes as one.
But There we go. Okay, Housewives Weekly, which is all about me. Okay, you already told everybody I moved. Yes, I did move. I have been in my home, which I bought a little over a month. Rob, I am going to use my polite language. It has been a challenge. Ranging from the cost of the movers to my furniture delivery, to my internet service, to the fixes that the seller was supposed to do that she did not do properly, to the fridge being dead the first day that I moved in. It's been a challenge.
Yeah.
I really wanted to buy a new washer and dryer because the washer and dryer in here, all of the appliances are older. I really wanted a new washer and dryer. I got a new fridge.
There's a hole underneath her fence to the other lady's house that her dogs immediately found.
Yes, the first night.
And wouldn't leave alone.
Yes. And so now I've got it like crammed full of things, and they have not managed to get through in quite some time, knock on wood, but I also keep a very close eye on them. And that was what led to the through the fence, not polite comments about my barky dog and my robust boyfriend. So, and we have not spoken since, which is fine. Every now and then I want to stick my head out and yell, "Your children are barking and they're driving me crazy," but I don't. Instead, excuse me, Rob, I'm not using my polite language. I just have louder sex with my boyfriend. With the window open.
Oh.
All right. That said, I am still madly in love. That said, I am still not divorced. My ex showed up to our first hearing and had not finished any of his disclosures. So basically, we got to each pay we each got to pay our attorneys for an hour of work. All of my stuff was done, his stuff was not, and the judge gave us a polite lecture about working stuff out outside of the courtroom, and our next hearing is at the beginning of October. And I'm like, I don't think we're going to work it out outside of the courtroom because number one, we're not talking. Number two, he doesn't even have enough respect for me to finish his paperwork. And number three, he doesn't want to give up what I want. So yeah, we're going to trial.
Yep.
And I'm sorry for him. Sorry for his luck.
Man, the only thing exciting that's happened in my life.
Oh, I have more, but go ahead.
Since we have taken a break is fiscal year end. It's almost over. And my last two pieces of furniture finally got delivered last week.
Okay, and you're in love with your chaise lounge, and I'm not sure I'm in love with mine.
Yeah, I really like mine.
I think I need to spend more time on it. I think I need to do delicious things on it. And that might make me fall in love with it, but I'm not in love with it yet.
The dogs love it.
I saw that Dexter really loved it.
Yeah, the dogs hang out in my office with me during the day when I work at home. And the orthopedic dog bed that actually slides perfectly underneath the chaise lounge, like I had measured it or something. I didn't, of course, but it slides perfectly under and out of the way. That orthopedic dog bed costs just about the same amount as much as this chaise.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So I don't care which one they sleep on, and they just have to be good dogs and don't bark.
So I was just thinking, this is like our PG-13 version of biters. Let's see. I said I needed to post the last two of Fear the Walking Dead. I plan on doing that. I binged WandaVision this summer and loved it.
Me too.
You did too. I'm almost done with Loki. I'm watching it with my guy. So, like, when we're together and can fit in an episode of TV, we'll watch an episode of Loki. So, I've read 3 great books this summer. I told you about one of them, Marn, Midnight Library, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think I talked about it on the podcast, so I'm going to actually be really obnoxious and talk about these books. So Midnight Library was the first one that my guy recommended to me. We're kind of sharing books. And it's written by a guy named Matt Haig, Haig. And the premise of the book, this sounds really depressing, but hang in there with me. The main character decides to commit suicide. She comes to in a library that is staffed by the librarian who was her high school librarian, who was like one of the only positive adult influences she had in her life at that point in time. Turns out each book in this library is a volume of her life, and each one is a separate life that she has lived or could live. And so she basically is like, find me the best life I've lived. I want to live that life. And then she'll go and she'll live that life, and she'll kind of figure out that maybe that wasn't the best life after all. Or maybe there were things that made it painful that her other lives didn't have that pain. So it's a really, really great book. Really great book. And my guy and I talk all the time about, the woulda, coulda, shouldas, especially because he's divorced. I'm in the middle of a divorce, and it's kind of like, that's a Midnight Library moment.
So for those of you who are 90s movie dorks like me... Sliding doors, but this also sounds kind of like the movie Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser.
God, I kind of vaguely remember that movie, but not well enough to offer an opinion about it.
The devil, lets him, wish any life that he wants with this girl that he's been admiring from afar. And so they go through all of these, I want to be, I want to be an amazing athlete, and so she makes him this basketball player, and he's like the best at basketball, only he's a little dumb, and he's, how shall I put this? He's not big everywhere. And so he's like, no, I don't want this fantasy. So it's like, okay, make me really rich and powerful. And so makes him really rich and powerful. And turns out he's a drug lord. And his wife, who is the woman who he's been admiring from afar, absolutely hates him and has been getting together with her English guy who's teaching her English. Like, so every time he wishes this amazing life, it's like, be careful what you wish for. Like, it turns out horribly. And of course, the lesson you learned in the end is, of course, the life you have is the best one worth living. So,
and that's kind of, not to put too fine a point on it, that's very much the idea behind Midnight Library.
Yeah.
Same author, a book called The Humans, which I'm not sure I would have fallen in love with as hard had I not loved had I not loved Midnight Library so much. But oh my god, I actually fell in love with The Humans even harder. It's about an alien who is sent to Earth to basically take over the life of a mathematics professor who has solved an equation, which apparently is a real equation that is at this point unsolved, that gives humanity the ability to do interstellar space travel. And these aliens are like, humans are horrible, they're disgusting, they're destructive, we don't want them in outer space. No, 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 no. So they send this alien to basically
sabotage us.
Sabotage humanity. Exactly. Well, he ends up falling in love with humanity. It's a wonderful book. Oh my god. All right, and then the very last book, and this is the end of Diane's book review. It's a book called Where the Forest Meets the Stars, and it's by a woman named Glendy Vanderah, Vanderah. I don't want to give too much away, but the main character is a woman who is living kind of in the middle of nowhere. She's doing an ornithology study, and a little girl shows up on her doorstep and tells her a very outlandish tale of who she is and what her origins are.
Interesting.
And it's kind of that story getting unraveled, and yeah, it's a great book.
Well, I have been making use of my Audible subscription.
Oh, good for you.
And I've been listening to nothing but horror books. They're all about the same person who is a real person. And I will just give you the hint that they're political books.
Oh, gee. This person wouldn't be someone who has, like, kind of weird skin and orange hair. Or orange skin and weird hair.
Well, I told you they were horror books. I'm just like, yes, he lives in my head rent free. I'm just so obsessed at how...
Don't allow him to live in your head any longer.
But it's through the people who were actually there, the people who wrote book. And I'm just like, and it's funny, the one TikToker who's, he was reviewing a couple of the books that I've listened to. He's like, the word that is used most often in these books is childish. And I'm like, oh, God, that's so true. So that's what I've been doing with my book reading.
So my Audible account, I just finished listening to the book Kingdom of Pain, which was talked about in Crime of the Century, which we have to podcast this week.
Did you see that thing about fentanyl? I'll have to send you the article.
I was going to say which thing, because I rewatched that episode of Kingdom of Pain because I thought we were going to podcast, and then I finished, not Kingdom of Pain, of Crime of the Century, and then I finished Kingdom of Pain, so I kind of feel like I'm inundated with fentanyl, but I haven't seen a specific article about fentanyl. Was it the one where it was like, okay, all these cops who say that they're overdosing on, like, just a little tiny bit of skin contact with fentanyl, that's not a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I administered fentanyl for years in the emergency room and the recovery room, and I can honestly say I certainly never had any trouble with coming in contact with fentanyl. And let me tell you, when you break those little glass vials that it's in, sometimes you cut your finger and get fentanyl in your finger. Sometimes you break it and the fentanyl sprays in your face.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's a thing.
But did you die?
I did not die. I didn't even pass out. I didn't even feel high.
Oh, that sucks.
All right, so that's Housewives housekeeping, and I'm so sorry to make it so long, but Marnell is right. My life has changed so much, and that's a big part of the reason we haven't been podcasting. Plus, I've just been fried.
Yeah.
I've been fried, and I'm chasing a dude who's got kids, and I've got to be uber flexible because sometimes the kids want his attention like that, and sometimes we have plenty of time. So my life is really flexible, but in some ways it's a lot less flexible than it used to be.
Yeah.
So, and we're in love. We use the L word. It's a thing.
I love that for you.
Yeah. You're like, not so much for anybody else, but for you. Yeah, and like, okay, I'm going to be totally dorky. I'm sorry, biters. And I know that we need to get to the show because you're probably like, oh God, they're back and all they're doing is talking. I've actually FaceTimed with his dad. And his dad is super sweet. And the last time I was at his house and his dad called, he was like, Dad, Diane's here. And his dad was like, well, put Diane on the phone. I don't want to talk to you.
Well, it's because you make his son so happy.
I hope so.
Yep.
I hope so. All right. Anyway, back to the show.
Are we doing our good, bads, and uglies?
I think we're doing our goods, bads, and uglies. So
you had me rate first. Am I first?
So you should go first. Yep.
Okay. So my good was actually that ending.
With Negan not helping Maggie.
Yes. And it has more to do with everything that sort of led up to that. But in Eric Kane's article, he was like, this really kind of feels like they're trying to do a Glenn under the dumpster fake out thing. And I'm like, I really don't think they are, because we all know that Maggie's not dead. Like, that's just not a thing. We've seen her in many clips for the rest of the season.
And we've also seen Lauren Cohan's social media where she's like, I'm so glad to be back. Isn't this great?
Right? And so definitely not a fake out. She obviously is going to, and I'm not saying this because I've seen the next episode, but where else do you have to go while you're down there? You crawl under the train, just like Glenn crawled under the dumpster. But I have to say that I am absolutely shocked that Negan didn't offer his hand, that he was just like, nope, just the Negan that we know now. But going back to the conversation that they had, and the way he was treated the entire episode, where people were so antagonistic of him.
That's exactly what it was, that people were so awful to him. Although I have some comments because it's my ugly.
and it was unnecessarily so. Yes, he knows that everyone hates him because he's that guy. He knows it. You don't have to do that whole shoulder brush past him. That's just childish.
Yeah.
So, and he flat out was like, if you want to go, let's do this. Why don't you just kill me now? Because that's your plan. Can none of you read a map? You don't need to drag me through the mud and the slime and everything to kill me. Just kill me. That's what you're planning to do. I'm not making it back from this trip, whether it's by your own hand or not. And so, having thought of all of that, and then having Maggie dangle there and Negan over her, his thought is, it's her or me. If you were in that position and somebody who for good reason wants you dead, is it you or is it them?
Although
you're gonna pick you.
My concern would be around the it's her or me thinking is, it doesn't matter if she lives or dies, someone's going to get Negan because there's a whole lot of people in Maggie's camp now.
Yeah, but are you really going to kill Negan at that point? You're already a Maggie down and you're in crap stew you need all the bodies that you can get that you can throw at the dead. So I think they would keep him alive as long as they could. They're not going to go out of their way to rescue him, but if a few of them start dropping off along the way, Negan's chances look better and better. So I'm just saying. It was my good because it was so shocking, but it's like it's also not shocking at all.
Right.
But and of course Maggie is not dead. Duh.
Do you want me to talk about my ugly now, or do you want me to talk about it later?
Was that your ugly?
That was my ugly.
Okay, we'll go into your ugly a little more later. What was your good?
My good was the Commonwealth questioning. I loved it. I mean, and I read a little article about it, and it was like, they're asking all of these random, weird, bizarre questions because if they kind of trip you up on the random, weird, bizarre ones, eventually you're going to be lulled into answering the one that they want you to answer, which is, where is your settlement?
Right.
Which I thought was really interesting. I mean, that completely makes sense from a psychological point of view. Of course, the nurse in me loved the, how many bowel movements do you have a day? And what type of thing do you use to wipe?
He feels like, pass.
Well, it was really funny because Kari Payton was live tweeting the episode, and he was like, just so you know, a bidet.
Good for him. Oh, that's funny. And see, I took those questions, the line of questions. One was, yes, it's, cause they, of course, they kept asking them where the settlement was, and they're trying to get them to answer rapid fire questions and trip up and say something that they, didn't intend to. But I also have a feeling that if this is the Commonwealth and they are truly interviewing people on whether or not they are going to be an asset or a hindrance to being a member of the Commonwealth, these are like those stupid interview questions that like Google and Facebook ask you, like, how many basketballs would it take to fill this room? And they're looking for you to have to think outside the box on those type of things. And so, like, if they asked you that question, how many basketballs do you think would fit in this room? And so your answer should be, are they inflated or deflated? Because that will definitely affect how many basketballs could fit in here. And is all of the furniture and us in here? Because that'll, they want you to have that thought process. They want to see that you think about and you problem solve and things like that. So I kind of took their bizarre questions as, like, how many quarters could fill up a bathtub? Just, your thought process behind those, and whether or not, you can be a, team player, a productive member of society, somebody who thinks outside the box, those kind of things.
Interesting.
And then there were the questions in there that were supposed to throw them off of, their toilet habits.
And the lady who was doing the questioning, I wonder if we'll see her again.
I do too. I really hope so. So I did look her up on IMDb, specifically so that I could find out if she has that haircut in real life. And I am happy to tell you that she does not. So she took one for the team, just like Josh did, with the mullet, like, because that haircut on her is not flattering.
Yeah, but they definitely made her look like some of the people in the Commonwealth were portrayed in the comic book. Like, there is, I can't remember her last name, but Pamela is the first name of the character, and she is actually like the president of the Commonwealth. And she very much looks like that character.
Like, the way that I would describe it, like, if I had to, like, one word, is just pinched. She just looks pinched.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yep.
Oh.
All right, so, what's your bad?
My bad is when they were being lowered down in to get all of the rations, and the zombies, or they're lurkers, right?
Right. They did describe them as lurkers.
Yep. So the lurkers start to wake up, and I was like, why is everybody hesitating? That one is starting to move, and we already know that if one of them wakes up, they will all wake up, because we've already seen Magna and someone else stab them in the head at the same time. They counted down. So everyone kind of freezes, like maybe the baby will go back to sleep or something.
Right, yeah.
Not gonna happen. Like, one of them wakes up, they're all gonna, and they all start to like kind of move around and shake off the rust, like you and me are doing right now. And they all start to rise up, and everyone's just like frozen. And I'm like, okay, it would have been a really good time to start stabbing them in the head before they even get up. Just like the 5 that are near you. Bam, 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 bam. You know, the guys up top start shooting. You start shooting. Like, why did everyone hesitate for so long? I was really annoyed at that. And then I am also annoyed at the fact that they like took all these MREs back, and they're like, well, that burns that place. And I'm like, does it? Like, I feel like now we could just stand on that skylight and just shoot at them. It's like quite almost literally fish in a barrel. You know?
Tell you, honestly, one of the other things that bothered me until I read, I'm pretty sure it was the Kane article, I was like, really? So why are Maggie and Carol wasting all this ammo? And then it was like, well, they got these semi-automatics from these soldiers that were laying on the ground. And I was like, oh, okay, I can live with that. Can't live with Maggie and her pistol, but I can live with Carol and her semi-automatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it made sense in terms of the efficiency of putting down a large number of walkers that became very threatening very quickly.
Right. Sorry, I'm having to mute myself because I have developed a sneezing attack all of a sudden.
Oh, well, at least it's not a cough, because you can get the Delta variant even if you're vaccinated.
Well, okay, so we're going to sidetrack here for a second and talk about a cough. Because I'm very, very curious, Ezekiel. Like,
oh,
how long does that dude have?
Yeah, I actually was super sad tonight when that was going on. I was like, please don't take Ezekiel away from us yet. Please don't do this yet. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to lose Ezekiel.
So on The Talking Dead, they did a poll of should Ezekiel tell the Commonwealth his cancer status?
No, because then he'll be useless. He'll be worthless to the Commonwealth. Because the whole thing about the Commonwealth is you have to be able to contribute to their structure in some way, shape, or form. That's why they throw in questions like, did you graduate from college? Where did you go? What was your profession?
What was your last physical?
Yeah.
But they may have the technology to help him. And if he or his friends who are willing to be like, you have to help my friend or I'm not going to help you, they may be able to help him. If, you know, so the audience was split. I think it was 52% don't tell
Dude, it's
them.
not Texas.
Radiation
Sorry,
doesn't
had to throw
cure
that in
everything.
there. Radiation just makes you pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucked tonight.
Yeah,
No,
I agree.
it's him
I
coughing
agree.
blood. Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So I have a feeling I know what your bad is.
I actually have 2 bads. I have a bad, and then I have my minor bad, which is my secondary gripe, which you already know what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so my primary bad, I decided that I would go for something new. So things are all good between Carol and Daryl now?
Oh,
everything's totally fine?
Okay, that's in my ugly. So,
Because
my good
it was
movie
not
Bradley-
good the last time we saw them together.
Yeah, I think they've worked a few things out since then.
Well, it would have been nice if it had happened on screen so the rest of us were privy to that. Just saying.
Maybe they'll talk about it over the next 23 episodes or their spin-off show.
Yeah, right. Remember that time when we fought and we really hated each other for several episodes? Yeah, it's not true anymore. Oh, God. All right, and then my secondary gripe, which you already know, and which Diana and Steve already know because I left it on their website or on their Twitter page. I'm so tired of things being so dark. Like, okay, I thought perhaps it was because I was trying to watch it on my Kindle. So I finally sucked it up because I've had such miserable tech issues over the last several weeks and decided to see if my TV was going to work or not because my printer didn't work. My printer did not make the switch from one Wi-Fi to the other, and I was actually extremely concerned after nearly 4 hours of dealing with that probably my TV was going to behave the same way. Anyway, it in fact did work. So I watched it tonight on my TV, and it was just as dark on my TV.
Yeah, so when I rewatched, I kind of looked, and I see what you mean. I get it.
And it makes it hard to, it's like, is that Rosita? I think that might be Rosita. Who is that? Yeah. I'm sure that's Carol because she's highlighted and she's got that long gray hair, so I'm pretty sure that's Carol. Okay, that's obviously, but it's like, come on, guys. You're spending all this money on production value. You're spending all this money on these great actors, and then you make it so your fans get about 2/3 of the content because it's so freaking hard to see.
I think I had the same issue in the tunnel, more so in the beginning. But yeah, the darkness is problemsome.
Well, and the thing is again, it just really creates a situation where you can't see the content, and that's frustrating.
It is.
Especially when you're doing what we're doing, which is we're trying to kind of microscopically review the content.
Right.
And when it's like, boy, I'm not really sure which character that is. I think I know. I don't know. It's just frustrating. Yeah. All right. You're ugly. You said it had to do with my bad. My real bad.
Carol and Daryl.
Being all fine.
What's that?
Being all fine.
Yeah, so there was this interesting little thing that happened. Everyone is rushing to get out of this staging area with all of these lurking bodies of military members. And of course, Carol is our last to go. And she starts to hook herself up. And then she decides against it because she's going to go off on her own.
And get more MREs. Right.
And get more MREs. And of course, Carol going off on her own to the possible detriment to the rest of the team because she knows better than everybody. And I actually kind of liked that Daryl didn't seem pissed at her. He just sort of rolled with it, and I think they are coming to some sort of symbiotic relationship understanding of Carol gonna do what Carol gonna do, and I just need to back her up. I can get mad about not being able to control her actions and Carol going off and doing what Carol's gonna do, or I can just back her up and we're a team. And that's just our relationship.
Do you think that's what's going to lead to the Daryl Carol spinoff? We're a team and that's just our relationship?
I don't know, but I think maybe that's part of it. Maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into it a little too early, but Daryl did not miss a beat. He did not be like, Carol, what are you doing? He was just like, all right, I got your back. I'll shoot anything that tries to get you. I'll sacrifice my knives. And then she comes back up with his knife. So like they're basically like, it's like my boss and I, my former boss, who's now my coworker, that happened this summer.
We've had eventful summers.
We have. We always constantly joke that together we are a whole brain. And it was funny. My now somewhat of a boss, or our now somewhat of a boss, her and I were talking Friday, and she's like, you two make a very good team. She's like, you are very methodical and analytical, and you check all of the corners and the boxes before you put something out there. And she is very like, boom, 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 let's get this done, quick, fast, out the door. And both of us working together seems to get a lot of stuff done thoroughly and quickly. Now, you can go to her for something to be done quickly, but she doesn't always check the things that she needs to check beforehand, so something could go awry. Me, I don't get things done quickly, but I make sure to cover every single one of my bases. And so, sometimes you just have to have somebody who, is willing to go off book, as long as they have somebody there that will check the book before it's final. I think they're going to make a really good team now that they understand each other's personalities and can compensate for that.
What, so it took like 10 seasons for them to understand each other's personalities and compensate for that?
There's been a lot going on in these 10 seasons. I mean, they've had whispers, they've had wolves, they've had saviors, they have had...
All right. I think you're being too nice, but okay.
And they are both very, very different people from where they started out. So, that is my ugly, which was your bad. And so my good was your ugly. Let's talk more about that.
Okay, so the thing that I really liked Negan calling Maggie out. I really liked him being like, look, you obviously want me dead. You obviously want to do this. Let's do this.
Yep.
I really, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. But no. I really liked the fact that he called her out.
And it's so, this whole thing brings us back to, we have seen the evolution of Negan, and they haven't. They are stuck with Negan 5 years, 6, 7 years ago. How old is Herschel Jr.?
Well, Maggie said she's been gone for 6 years. She said that in the episode tonight.
So
I actually think that kid looks a little older than 10 years or than 6 years old, but
I do too. And RJ seems to have a growth spurt too, but I digress. So she is stuck 6 years in the past with him, and everyone keeps pointing out to her that we wouldn't have what we have without Negan. Like, he's a different guy. And I completely get that she cannot see that. And I also completely get that he's really super butthurt that he's been putting in the time and the work and doing the homework and growing tomatoes and saving kids and all this other stuff.
But it's also okay that she'll never see that because he murdered her husband with a baseball bat.
Absolutely. And even he said, I think on Talking Dead, that there is still a part of him that struggles with that villainous side of himself. He still killed that one kid that killed the family.
Right.
He uncovered Lucille, and in the end of that, he smashed it. He smashed the bat, but he still walks a very fine edge, and us, the viewers, see him being pushed in the wrong direction by all of these people who are treating him like they are. But us, the viewers, also know exactly why those people are treating him like that, because for 6 years they have been listening to Maggie tell them what a horrible person he is and what he did, and he doesn't deserve to live, but by the grace of her, she let him live, because living would be more suffering than giving him a quick end. Like, there's a lot to unpack this season with those two.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, the bigger question is, does somebody ever come back from that? Like, I mean, I knew murderers when I worked in prison who, when I met them in the way that I met them, they seemed like very decent people who had recovered from what they did. That's not right. They're the ones who did the horrible thing, who came to terms with what they had done.
So I always go back to, how long do you get to punish somebody for something, and who gets to decide that?
I think it depends on what it is. I mean, if it's a murder or a rape, I mean, we joked earlier about murdering someone. We joked, but if it's a murder or a rape, that's huge.
It is, but people have forgiven people for those crimes, and they may be bigger people than you and I.
Yeah.
But what good does it do you to hold on to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's that old Buddhist adage of, attributed to the Buddha. I don't think the Buddha really said it, but being angry is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
So what you're saying is Buddha says give the other guy the poison. Oh, that is one of my favorite ways to start out a training, because I'm a terrible note taker, because that's exactly what my notes would wind up like, is, drinking the poison and expecting the other guy to die. And my notes would say, Buddha says give the other guy the poison. But yeah, so if they don't kill each other in the next 23 episodes, they have to come to some sort of, you stay on your side of Alexandra, I will stay on my side, and when we meet, we will be cordial, but you and I will never be friends. But you have heard my bold prediction in the past, and I am sticking to it. Negan will sacrifice himself to save baby Herschel, and that's where we will complete that circle.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know, man. I just don't know. Don't know how to explain it. Don't know how it's going to resolve.
Ultimate redemption for Negan, and everybody gets a little piece.
I don't know. We've got 23 episodes to find out, man.
All right.
Let's blast our way.
Because I took a sleeping pill like 2 hours ago.
I was going to say, let's blast our way through some rotting potpourri, because I have 3 TikToks I need to watch from my other personal TikTok curator.
So you did not like the beginning because it was too dark. I will say that my very, very first impression of the beginning was I absolutely hated the CGI view that Daryl had. I thought it was a little too green screeny terrible. You probably didn't see it.
Because I was so distracted and ticked off by the fact that it was so
too dark.
hard to watch.
Yeah. I do have to say that we have changed our credits a little bit.
I wondered if they had changed, and I will be honest and say you are much better at seeing that than I am.
So here's what I was able to pick out in the 2 times that I watched. Is we have added dog to our credit.
Oh, yay!
We have added the Commonwealth soldiers at the end.
And those are both things that I should have seen, so shame on me.
But there was a more subtle one that I'm not entirely sure about. I'm going to have to go back and watch some last season credits before I actually put a nail down on this one. So there's a scene where it's Michonne and what I think used to be Rick rearing up on horses.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is Rick anymore, because I believe that Rick had the hat, and the character that is rearing up on the horse now, the male-ish character, does not have a hat. So I think they changed that is not Rick anymore. So those are the 2.5 that I could pick out. If anybody else saw anything, let us know on our Facebook page.
Very good.
I keep looking though.
I will be checking again now that we're getting back into this. Oh, I had to laugh. I wrote down twice. Look, more new people for Steve. I mean, we've got all of the new people from Maggie's previous life and all of the new Commonwealth people.
Right.
And like the Commonwealth people we haven't even met yet who are on the wall of the missing.
Yeah. Yeah. So in Talking Dead, they did point out that all of the people on the wall of the missing are actually pictures of like crew members.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I did like that. I'm kind of skipping ahead, but I did like that because of course it was totally about 9/11. It was also a callback to 28 Days Later.
Yep, absolutely. As much as I thought the tunnels were too dark, I really, really liked. I was totally on board with Negan, where I'm like, we probably shouldn't be down here, because in the past few months we have seen some very inclement weather that has caused some major flooding, and it overwhelms the underground train station. Like the tubes in London, they wound up getting flooded, and people were literally in chest deep water trying to get out, which is horrifying. And I can't help but think, 10 years of disrepair, and those things, drainage just isn't cutting it anymore. So seeing that high water line, that was pretty scary. And so I completely agreed with Negan that they should not be down there. But I absolutely loved the graffiti art on the wall, all of the skulls and the skeletons. And then Gabriel seeing the if there is a God, he will have to beg for my forgiveness.
Ooh.
I loved that. Because Gabriel got a little high and mighty in his whole, when Negan's like, that sound is God telling us we shouldn't be down here. And Gabriel turned around and he's like, I think God would have ran that through me first. And I'm like, Woody.
Gotta see if there's anything else.
So my rating, pumpkin colored space,
Yeah.
which is what Ezekiel said to Mercer.
Yep.
Mercer's armor is supposed to be like red, right?
I remember it from the comic book, and I remember it being like reddish orangish, but I can't honestly say like it's red, it's orange. I can't honestly say.
I feel like it is a little too orange to me.
Yeah, I can't honestly say that it's a thing or not a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also agreed with Daryl when they were sitting around talking about how they only have a week's worth of food left, and Maggie's like, well, I do know of a place, but we're gonna have to fight some people for it. And everyone was like, oh, is that a good idea? Blah, blah, blah. And here I am thinking, well, I would rather fight them now when I have the strength of a full belly than a week and a half from now when I'm starving and, we're in desperate need of food. I would rather get a jump on this. So I did not get anyone's argument about, no, let's wait. No, don't wait. You are at your peak fitness right now. Just go.
Or at least as good as it's going to be.
Yep.
Okay, hard left. Did Ezekiel lose his Tennessee top hat?
He
Not
did.
Ezekiel. Sorry, Eugene.
Yeah, I knew who you meant. He did.
Explain. How did that happen? When did that happen?
He has this weird rat tail.
No, but he it looked like he had nothing back there.
What?
Yeah.
No, he's got this long braid.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yes, because
several times I saw him, I was like, it looks like he has nothing but short hair, like just regular hair.
No, he has got this long, weird braid that I am like, I don't know if that is worse or if that is better. I don't know. But there is definitely, and he's got like beads and stuff in the braid.
Well,
I'm gonna
hopefully
roll
Stephanie
it back and
likes
I'm
it.
gonna screenshot it to you.
Hopefully Stephanie likes it.
Okay. We're there. And I am not talking about Josh McDermott. He is a lovely man. Do not give him hate on Twitter. I am talking about Eugene. And I have talked about my issues with Eugene in a very serious manner before, and I will do so again, because this man needs to stop thinking with his groin. He is putting his friends' lives in danger so he can meet this woman who could very well be catfishing him.
He's okay. It's too late. It's too late. He's already done it. It's too late.
He's making decisions with the wrong head.
It's too late.
Oh, it's driving me insane.
Yeah.
I'm just
sorry. That cow's out of the barn.
There's this great screen grab from when we were first introduced to Princess, where she's got that princess look on her face, and she's like, "You're one really horny dude," and that's all I can think now. Just like, oh God, we are doing all of this so that Eugene can get laid and get over Rosita, and I'm not here for it.
You're here for it. It's too late. It's already happened.
I know. It doesn't mean I'm not mad about it.
I get it. It's okay to be mad about stuff that you can't fix anyway. Not my whole life, but a fair part of my life has been that way for the last 2 months. So
look, I will be your wingman, dude, but you can't get other people killed to lose your virginity. It's just, oh.
Now I hope you're talking to Eugene and not to me, because that's not a thing.
No, I'm talking to Eugene. Again, I am talking to Eugene, not Josh. I love Josh. Ugh. Speaking of all of that, I feel, and this is just my feeling, this is nothing, I actually am not completely through episode 2, so even if there was anything. I
All
have
right,
not
and I'm
watched
cutting
it.
us off in 5, so get it out, sister.
I feel like the entire holding pen that they are being held in is a complete fake out. I think all of the other prisoners are Commonwealth people and they're acting. I don't think anything that is around them is real. I think that this is all some sort of psychological test.
Okay, that's going to be super interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something about when they asked the other couple how long they had been there, and he's like 4 months, and she's like,
No, it's been
9.
9. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that one guy who was like holding onto the table was like, no, I'm not going to
Reprocessing.
reprocessing. I was thinking reclamation. No, reprocessing. I feel like it's all a show for them.
I think it's going to be fascinating.
I even think that they know that like they had a plan to escape and they're escaping. Like this is all a setup. And I realized that I felt kind of that way when Princess was having her breakdown in the boxcars, and we weren't sure what was real and what wasn't. But I just feel like the whole psychological torture that those two people were putting them through, them two and Mercer were putting them through, I'm just like, I feel like this whole thing is like a Truman Show, and they are being watched. That's my theory.
Well, that's your bold prediction.
That's my bold prediction. I love how observant Princess is. Princess and Eugene are like two sides to the same coin. He's very like scientific and analytical and like observant in that way. And she's very like, she gets to know everybody's names and like, you know, talks to them and like, just she's on the social level and he's on like the scientific analytical level, but they're both very, very observant about what's going on around them. So I can't remember if that's Princess from the books, if she has that quality in the books, but like I really, really like that they gave her this really, really strong attribute after making her seem crazy.
She's crazy but feisty in the book.
All right.
Okay, the last thing I want to bring up is Yumiko, her sister. So that is totally a twist on the Michonne storyline in the book. In the Michonne storyline, she actually finds that her daughter has survived and is living in the Commonwealth, her adult daughter.
Yumiko's sister, or was it a brother?
No, it was a sister.
Okay.
Yeah. I might not have been able to see, but I saw that.
Huh.
So I just thought that was super cool that they took and kept that twist. There wasn't really any way that they could do it with Michonne because she's gone and because her children, well, her child was a young boy who was killed early on in the apocalypse. But I like that they kept the idea.
Yeah, there's going to be some interesting stand-ins, I think, that happen because of the characters that we have lost on the show that are still alive in the books.
Yeah.
And of course, characters that didn't exist in the books, or in the books that are on the show. So 23 more episodes.
Crazy.
Yep. It feels weird to be back, but we're back.
We're back, and I promise that unless something comes up tomorrow night, and I'm not going to promise that something won't come up because my life is crazy. Unless something comes up tomorrow night, my plan is to edit this and edit the leftover Fear the Walking Dead episode and get them posted.
And we will will try to get episode 2 of Crime of the Century for Real Housewives.
I would like that.
We did attempt it once over the summer.
And I lost my shiz.
Yeah.
Because I think what happened is like I had to reboot something or I had to turn something off, and when I did, I like lost everything that we had recorded.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm over an hour in and I don't have another hour to give. I can't. I just can't.
Yeah. That was rough.
It was very rough. All right. And speaking of over an hour in, we're an hour and 39 in, so we are peacing out.
All right. Well, it's good to be back. We can't wait to hear from the fans again. We're sorry we took such a long break, but we are here. 23 more episodes.
Yep. And until we talk to you again,
just remember,
take it one dead day at a time. Yep, we're out of practice.
And I hear it, and we're spot on.
Oh, no, we're not spot on.
Have a good week, everybody.
Have a good week, you guys. Bye.
Bye.